When have you seen someone with so much potential waste their life? My best friend. We grew up together, and in high school, she was insanely gorgeous. Was always getting approached about modeling, and everyone always compared her to Natalie Portman. She is still funny and smart and nice. Got into drugs early on in high school, and I always thought it was just a face-slash that I was the lame one for not being as carefree and fun as her. She just finished rehab for heroin, spent over $3,000 of money she had saved up to travel for it, and is now in a recovery home. Physically, she looks tired, has gained weight, and doesn't try anymore. I didn't expect this to get attention. To clarify, it wasn't just her looks that went away / that I cared about. She sounded less enthusiastic about life in general, and I watched as the things she cared about became less important than getting high or going out and getting drunk. It was more than looks, but that was the first physical indication that things were changing.
It's tough to see someone you care about change like that. I had a friend who was similar. We had a blast growing up, but then he got caught up in drugs. Initially, it seemed like just a fun phase, but it quickly spiraled. Over time, he lost interest in everything that used to matter. You realize it's not just about the outside, it's the whole vibe that shifts. It's a difficult situation to witness.
Kid I went to HS with. Musical genius, or as close to one that I have seen. Could pick up and play any instrument almost instinctively. Could hear a song and replicate it. Was composing music for band/orchestra in high school. Smart guy all around. Presidential scholarship to college. Hooked on drugs, failed out. Really mentally not there anymore. Burnout. Sad as hell.
That really hits hard. It's tough seeing someone with so much talent fall off like that. You think they're on the path to greatness, then life throws a curveball. Drugs can just destroy everything, you know? It's a sad reminder that talent doesn't always protect you. Hope he finds a way back, but it's tough when you lose yourself like that. Life can be pretty cruel sometimes.
My buddy in middle school was an Olympic-level swimmer. Competed in the Junior Olympics and won a few medals. Into high school, he got very close to qualifying times for the real Olympics. Pretty much always first in state and regional competitions. Star student too. 2 years ahead in school, and he was still making straight A's with a perfect GPA. Senior year of high school, he became obsessed with pot. Not the okay, casual, smoke every so often type like the rest of us. He was the sort that smoked 10 times a day. Stopped doing his homework. Stopped practicing hard for swimming. Grades plummeted. Started cheating. On the last day of exams during the last class, he cheats on his chemistry final. Our teacher had had enough of his shit. She had caught him cheating a few times before. She reported him to the director of our IB program, and he was expelled with 15 minutes to go in his high school career. Missed his high school diploma. Missed his IB diploma. Lost all of his scholarships. Ended up just getting his GED like 2 years later. Hasn't done any competitive swimming since.
It's wild how quickly things can change. My friend was the kid everyone admired, top of his game in everything. But once he got into smoking heavily, it all fell apart. He went from potential Olympic athlete and straight-A student to a guy who couldn't even finish high school properly. Last-minute decisions can really mess up your life. It's a reminder that choices have consequences. You never know what could happen in just a few months.
Went to school with a kid, really smart, friendly, and just a good guy. Ended up with a rough crowd, smoking weed, and drinking and bailing on classes most days. Works as a laborer now, or something. Such a waste. Ever get the vibe you're around someone important? This guy had that vibe, like he was meant to do something incredible.
It's interesting how some people can start off with so much potential and then go in a different direction. I remember a friend like that. He was bright and had a lot going for him, but then he fell into the wrong crowd. It's a shame when talent goes to waste. You wonder what could have been if he stayed on track. Life takes unexpected turns for everyone, I guess.
My sister. Classic intelligent young woman, cheerleader, popular, etc. I'm 5 years older, and she'd correct my math homework for me. She had a lot of promise. Then she got into heroin. She's doing great now. She's 7 to 8 years clean and has a beautiful daughter, but she's never been able to go back to school to really turn her life around.
It's a bittersweet story, really. Your sister had so much potential, and it's tough to see her go down that path. But it's great to hear she's clean and has a daughter now. Life can be unpredictable. It's a reminder that recovery takes time, and sometimes dreams shift. It's good she's finding her way, even if it's not what we initially expected. Her strength is evident in her journey.
I've been told this for 10 years, and it was as stupid then as it is now. I had a full scholarship to college and near perfect SATs, but I didn't enjoy it. I work in construction and have since I was 20. I have a decent job, social life, and support myself since I moved out at 20. But people still like to say stuff like, man, you should have been a doctor or a lawyer. I don't want to be a lawyer. My girlfriend is a lawyer. She makes more money, but she works like 100 hours a week. It's not for everyone. I got my current job by working in my field and teaching myself stuff. I enjoy learning. School ruins it. TLDR, not everyone has the same goals.
It's interesting how people project their expectations onto others. Having a scholarship and great grades doesn't mean you have to follow a conventional path. Choosing construction seems like a solid choice for you, especially if you enjoy it more. Your girlfriend's job shows that success isn't just about money. Everyone has different goals, and that's okay. As long as you're happy and self-sufficient, that's what really counts.
When I was going through school, there was a guy in the year below who was ridiculously intelligent and very gifted with computer/technology. He got moved into my year group due to being too smart/advanced to remain with his own. He soon got into drugs, and any interest he may have had in academia was overruled by 420 Blaze It. He stopped caring about his future and was only interested in getting high. It's a shame. I'm sure he could have gone on to do or create something amazing if he'd steered clear of drugs.
That's a pretty common story. You see really smart kids sometimes take a wrong turn. It's strange how quickly interests can shift, especially with the wrong crowd. It's like they throw away opportunities for temporary highs. I wonder what he could have accomplished if he had stayed focused. There's always that what-if scenario for people who had potential but couldn't keep it together. Just a reminder that choices matter.
My sister-in-law got an internship offer to work for Pixar because her art was really good. She turned it down due to laziness and lack of confidence. Doesn't have a full-time job and has to struggle with money on some months, and sometimes kicks herself about not accepting it. I couldn't comprehend that when I heard about it.
It's wild how passing up opportunities can stick with you. I had a friend who got accepted into a great program but didn't go because he thought he wasn't ready. Now he's often frustrated about his career, wishing he'd taken the leap. It makes you realize how hesitation can lead to missed chances. Sometimes, it's just about taking that chance, even if you're not 100% sure.
I have a friend, 26, lovely girl, but she can't be bothered to do anything seriously. She complains about her roommates for years, but still doesn't move, gets drunk almost daily, complains she has no energy, complains she's single, doesn't want to date. It's really hard for me because I care a lot for her, but every advice I have given her she dismisses, and I can totally see her marrying the first rich dude that comes along and getting pregnant, having kids, and just being completely unhappy.
It's tough watching a friend struggle like that. She just seems stuck in this loop, always complaining but not taking steps to change things. It can be frustrating when you want to help but every suggestion falls on deaf ears. I get the feeling you'd love to see her happier. Sometimes, people need to hit a low point to finally make a change, but but you can't force that. You just have to be there for her.
I knew a girl who had a full ride for basketball to a Division I school, wouldn't have to pay a dime. She was so good, she probably would have went professional, honestly. She started dating one of my friends senior year, ended up not wanting to leave him. Decided to just go to community college. 1 year later, she dropped out, has a baby, and lives with her parents in her hometown.
It's wild how life takes unexpected turns. This girl had such a solid future ahead in basketball, full scholarship and all. But once she got involved with my buddy, her priorities shifted. Community college seemed like a safe choice at first, but dropping out was a huge change. Now she's back at home with a kid. Just shows how quickly plans can change.
One of my best friends is currently in the process of doing this. Everyone loves her. She is beautiful and kind and hilarious. She had multiple shoulder injuries and got addicted to painkillers as a result. She lost so much weight her heart started to fail. She dropped out of college and came home. Her parents are super religious and sent her away to rehab. She was gone for 6 months and got home this past weekend. I was so excited to see her and spend some time with her while she's sober. I probably haven't seen that in a few years. As soon as she gets in my car, she told me she was high. She was supposed to get out of treatment and go to school, and instead is moving down to a town 4 hours away to live with a drug dealer. I am heartbroken.
It's tough to see someone you care about go down that path. You want the best for them, and then they make choices that hurt themselves. It's frustrating to witness. I remember a friend who struggled similarly. He seemed to be getting better, but then he slipped back into old habits. It hits hard because no matter how much you try to help, they have to want it for themselves. Just hope she finds her way eventually.
My sister could have easily been a pro golfer. Tiger Woods went out of his way at one of his junior tournaments to meet her. Same with Lee Trevino and plenty other pro golfers. George Lopez saw her at Pebble Beach and went up to her and chatted with her. She had sponsorship offers left and right. She had full ride offers from so many schools such as Stanford, UCLA, and plenty of other schools. But she had a boyfriend who told her golf was lame and it wasn't going to get her anywhere. Now she works at a grocery store and lives in a shitty apartment with her current boyfriend.
That's a wild story. It's crazy how much potential she had. Meeting all those famous golfers and getting sponsorships sounds like a dream. But then, it's a tough lesson about relationships and priorities. It's sad to see someone give up on their dreams because of someone else's opinion. Now she's in a completely different place in life. It's just a reminder that choices can really change your path.
I got a job. Seriously. I was unemployed, depressed, fresh out of high school and stuck at home. I tried to busy myself with housework, but I just wasn't. Me, I guess. I was up at 8 or 9 and down by 11 every day to a scary precision. Dirty dishes almost never existed in our house. I kept laundry done. I was a very productive shell, but very lonely and depressed too. About a year later, I got a job and became more human. And then I lost that job of 6 years and went through it again. I start a new job today, and no matter how shitty it may get, I'm going to stick to it. Because for some reason, without obvious today, purpose, I just feel useless and not human. But that's just me.
It sounds like you've been through a lot. Getting a job can really change how you feel about yourself. It's good that you recognize the importance of having a purpose. Losing a job can hit hard, but starting anew shows resilience. Sticking to it, even when things get tough, can make a big difference in finding fulfillment. Just keep moving forward and remember that it's okay to feel lost sometimes. You're not alone in this.
I know this will receive lots of downvotes because Reddit loves weed, but it's true. My roommates, they were second year of their BSc in astrophysics at a very top university. got scholarships, grants, awards. They were among the best of the country and already had offers for PhDs at 19. Then they discovered weed. I lost contact with one of them, but I know he's not studying or working in his field. They are 24 now, and the other is in a shitty internship on a random small company office job. And B, I'm not saying weed is evil or the only cause of their problems. I used to smoke a lot and eventually quit and couldn't be more happy with my successful life. So again, it's not like weed kills your brain or anything, not in the short term at least, but it contributed.
It's interesting how habits can change one's path. I had a friend who was super focused on his studies too, then he got into gaming instead. He had a chance at a big internship but ended up prioritizing late-night sessions instead. Now he's still figuring things out, working odd jobs. It shows how easily distractions can derail plans. Not saying it's all bad, but life can go in unexpected directions.
My best friend growing up was one of the best dudes ever. Not to mention, he really was an amazing artist. He had these comic ideas that were really funny, and he was so quick-witted that I knew he was going to do something great. Fast forward to college, he starts smoking way too much weed and hanging out with people that really had no interest in doing amazing things in life. Get a graphic design degree and starts work at a shitty company doing basic work for them. I think this is when some depression set in and he started gaining weight, GF left him, and he started smoking weed a couple times a day. It got to the point where he stopped drawing, didn't want to go hang out or go to shows or anything, just wanted to sit home and play video games. We aren't really friends anymore, and I always wish he had done something more in his life because I know how talented and amazing this guy was. Sucks. Hope he's doing okay.
It's tough seeing someone with potential lose their way. I had a friend like that too. Full of creativity and ideas, but he got sidetracked. Once he got into that party scene, it felt like he faded. It's a bummer when life takes a different turn, especially when they had so much talent. I wish him well too. I hope he finds a way back to what made him happy.
My biological father is easily the most talented guitar player I, and most anyone who has listened to him, has ever heard. It's truly jaw-dropping when he solos. He is also the biggest drug addict that I, and most people who know him, have ever encountered. His status in that arena is legendary, and is the primary reason he isn't recognized as the musical genius he truly is. It's a bummer.
That's a heady mix there. It's tough when someone's talent gets overlooked because of their struggles. It's like watching a sunset hide behind clouds. You see the beauty but can't quite appreciate it fully. It makes you wonder how many other amazing talents are lost in similar ways. It's a shame because music could have been a way for him to connect or heal.
A few friends I had in primary school, elementary school if you're from the colonies, by the time they got to middle/high school, they started doing weed. Lots of people do it, and I don't care if you do it or not. Just don't mix in with the people who let it take over their hobbies and general interest in something healthier. Some of them were really bright and full of potential, but ended up slowly descending to the point of not going to college and just ending up with a mediocre job to pay for more weed.
It's interesting how choices can shape lives. Those friends had a lot going for them in elementary school, but then they got caught up in weed culture. It's a reminder that it's cool to have fun, but balance is key. Watching them lose interest in what they used to love was tough. It's like they traded their potential for something that didn't really help. Just a strange shift, you know?
Kid I went to high school with 6 feet 2 inches, 240 pounds, ran a 4.5 40-yard dash as a sophomore in high school. Ran everyone over. Led the division in rushing. Ran for 10 touchdowns his freshman season at a D1 college as a backup for a top 10 running back who went to the NFL. Was supposed to be his chance next. Thrown out of college for drugs and bad grades. Now posts suicidal thoughts on FB.
It's tough to see someone with so much potential end up like that. I remember him dominating games back then, turning heads. You think they have it all figured out, but sometimes life gets in the way. The pressure can really mess with you. It's a reminder that success doesn't guarantee happiness. I hope he finds a way to turn things around.
Probably the hardest part of teaching high school is watching kids who have great potential get lost in the morass of an unsupportive environment. I had a kid who graduated last year sharp, capable, as good as or better than most of her peers academically. She was interested in science, but convinced she wasn't capable. She opted not to go to college and work instead. I respect her decision, but I am sad that it was made out of self-doubt instead of trying to fully realize her potential. Another kid I still think about. He was a senior when he dropped out a bit over 10 years ago. He was brilliant, could have done anything. But his mom had lupus and they couldn't afford caregivers. So he missed a lot of class his senior year, trying to work enough to cover the rent, eventually dropping out. There are kids every year who are eager and able to make the world a little bit better, but they can't because college is expensive or they don't believe in themselves or a host of other reasons. We waste a lot of potential by not supporting each other.
It's tough seeing talented kids struggle. I remember a friend in high school who had great grades but always doubted herself. She turned down a scholarship, thinking she wasn't cut out for it. Another classmate had to drop out to support his family, even though he was really bright. It's sad to think how many end up wasting their potential just because of circumstances or their own insecurities. We really need to do better.
My father. I've been in analytics/data science for 20 years. Half the people I work with are PhD engineers, statisticians, mathematicians, or economists. I know the folks who won the Netflix prize. I met some of the best and brightest the world has to offer. My father dropped out in the 6th grade. He drank a fifth of Crown every night and pissed his life away. He was also the smartest person in terms of raw intelligence I've ever seen. His mind was a freaking database with more storage and faster retrieval than a 250-node Hadoop cluster I work with daily. When he died, I was able to sell his house for 40 grand, 20 grand short of the mortgage. He was penniless, drunk, obese, filthy, and alone. He could have been one of the greatest minds of the 20th century.
It's interesting how people can have so much potential yet not live up to it. Your father sounds like he had a sharp mind, even if he didn't take the traditional path. It's a reminder that intelligence comes in many forms. Life choices can really shape someone's fate, sometimes in unexpected ways. Not everyone gets the happy ending, but it sounds like he left a mark on you.
Guy I knew in high school. Let's call him B. B was smart. Like really friggin' smart. Scored perfect on the ACT, was offered a full scholarship from the Navy, in addition to full scholarship plus room and board to attend local university and being offered a job teaching some aerospace classes at said university. But nah, B turned them all down, is now roomed up with one of my old friends who supports both of them. B spent his days smoking pot and spend whatever money he does get from his granny on Magic the Gathering cards. Edit words.
Sounds like we had a lot of opportunities lined up but chose a different path. Not everyone follows the expected route, I guess. It's wild to think about how some people prioritize different things in life. While others are hustling, B seems to be just chilling and enjoying his hobbies. I wonder if he ever thinks about what could have been.
Everyone in this shred saying it's themselves who wasted their potential. We should make most of it. So many people here are mentioning are either dead or broken to the point of no recovery. If you're not dead and not that broken, maybe this could be a good wake-up call for all of us to make it the best we can make it with what we have and where we are at now. And maybe, if we can afford to, help others reach their full potential.
It's true. We often think about how we might have wasted our time. I've seen friends who had dreams but got stuck in routines. It's a reminder that as long as we're here, there's still a chance to change things. Helping others can also be a part of that journey. Sometimes just a little support can push someone to chase their potential. We should try to lift each other up while we still can.
Similar story. Had a good friend in HS who played baseball and was pretty dang good at it, and there was talk of him being offered scholarship. But he got into drugs, particularly cocaine, and next thing I know he dropped baseball to party all the time. After he graduated, he went full-blown coke train and ended up stealing from a bunch of us and got ran out of town when we found out he had stolen from one of our friends who was a poor single mom. Never saw him again, and no one knows what happened to him.
It's wild how things can change. I had a close friend in high school who was amazing at soccer. He had offers from colleges, but then he got caught up in partying and bad choices. Before we knew it, he stopped playing and just fell off the map. He started stealing from friends to fund his habits. We lost touch, and it's been years. No idea where he is now or how he turned out.
Got into drugs early on in high school, and I always thought it was just a rSlash that I was the lame one for not being as carefree and fun as her. Similar thing happened to me in high school. Only my best friend actually confirmed my fears by calling me lame and no longer hanging out with me. She was a shy honor student when I met her in middle school. A friend encouraged her to try weed our freshman year of high school, and it only escalated from there. Even though she's mostly clean now, she's stuck, unhappily, in our shitty hometown, struggling to get by, and in a miserable relationship with a child in the mix. I sent her a bunch of baby supplies and whatnot when her kid was born. The thank you message she sent me when she got it was heartbreaking because it quickly turned into a rambling list of her regrets. Sad face.
That's a tough spot to be in. It's hard watching someone change like that. I had a friend who went down a similar path. We used to be close, but once the drugs took hold, it was like I didn't even know her anymore. She'd often talk about her regrets too. It's a reminder that sometimes those choices can really trap you in a cycle. You did a good thing sending those supplies though.
I understand that the point of this thread is failed or unmet potential, but I've got to comment on this. Working at a cashier in a small town may seem terrible or insignificant to us, but this could very well be her dream right now. I work with a lot of heroin addicts, and I can't tell you how many people's goals and hopes are. 1. Stop using heroin. 2. Provide for myself. I'm not trying to call you out or anything, but going through treatment and maintaining sobriety, not to mention working and possibly raising 3 children, is likely harder than anything I've ever tried. That shit doesn't come easy.
It's true that what seems small to some can be huge for others. Life can throw a lot at you, and just managing to get through the day is an accomplishment. Working through addiction is a struggle that many face, and for some, just holding down a job can be a victory. It's all about perspective. What matters is finding peace and stability in whatever form that takes. Everyone's journey is different.
Seeing smart girls lose everything to guys is one of my worst fears, and I'm not sure why more girls aren't afraid of it. I've been really ambitious the past few years, and so far I've been successful, and the thought of marriage/children taking that away from me makes my stomach churn. I just hope that if that's in my future, that my spouse will balance things with me, and I can continue my work.
I get that concern. A lot of people worry about losing their identity in relationships. It's tough to balance personal goals with family expectations. It's good to think ahead about how things might change. Finding someone who supports your ambitions is key. It's all about having that conversation early on, so you can both find a way to make it work. It's a tricky balance that some manage better than others.
The thing is, when you get to one of those top colleges, there are still kids that can get by with minimal studying simply because of their intelligence. These are the students that drag the other people down that can't simply get by this way. My sister goes to a top university and told me about a guy that comes from a rich family who thought he could just get by without studying and ended up fooling around with other kids who actually didn't need to study. Colleges also allow students to hide their grades from their parents. By the time the parents found out, he was already getting the boot.
It's interesting how some people think they can coast through just because they have a background or some natural talent. I've seen it firsthand. A friend got into a good school, but he didn't take it seriously. He was more interested in parties than classes. In the end, he dropped out. It makes you wonder how much effort really matters in the long run. Some people just don't realize their potential until it's too late.
As a homeschooled high schooler, I felt like you were describing me exactly. College is hard, and I'm not used to having to work for good grades. And I fear that my laziness is going to severely limit my opportunities in the future if I don't turn around. Thankfully, I'm just going into my senior year of high school and doing full-time college instead, so I have time to change.
I get that. I was homeschooled too, and transitioning to college was a wake-up call. It's easy to fall into a lazy routine when you've had more freedom. But realizing that early can really help. Senior year can be a good time to focus and change habits. You have the chance to adapt and earn those grades. Just take it one step at a time, and you'll figure it out.
Same. I was one of those child prodigies. I hated being called that, but I have heard it so often that I can't think of another phrase. Who gets through the first 10 years of school never having to work, and then my mental health took a free fall. Now I'm a 21-year-old stay-at-home mom for my boyfriend's kid with no plans for college or anything like that. I could have been somebody, but then depression, anxiety, and PTSD hit, and I was too fucking proud to ask for help until it was too late. I'm not hopeless about my future, and I do have a reasonable dream that I'm chomping at the bit waiting for a job opening for. But this is not where I thought I'd be.
It's tough how life can change direction. You start with so much potential, then things hit harder than expected. It's good to hear you're not losing hope and still have dreams. Sometimes, just taking it step by step makes a difference. Not where you thought you'd be, but that doesn't mean it's the end. A lot of people face similar struggles, and it's okay to seek support when needed.
Every time I look in a mirror, tell me about it. I was thinking back on my life. When I was a kid, I was pretty smart, but then I became stupid. I look back on it, and I think I've pinpointed when it all turned the other way. I was playing outside in the schoolyard, and something or someone tripped me, and I smashed my head into a brick wall. No one asked if I was okay, or needed ice, or anything. I just cried a bit, and got up on my own, and didn't pay attention to it. But sometimes, unchecked injuries, especially to your head, can change your personality and intelligence.
It's strange how a moment can shift everything. You were just a kid, having fun, and then bam, it all changes. It's not like anyone noticed or cared to help. That sudden impact can really mess with you in ways we don't even realize. Looking back, it's wild to think that a simple fall could alter how you see yourself. Mirrors can be reminders of both the past and changes we've gone through.
What's wrong with getting into the office? The office is a chill-ass spot, not having to be around loud, heavy, dangerous machinery in the warehouse, unlimited coffee in the break room, Reddit/internet to go on when you have downtime. I love the office life. I get my vacation hours, my paid holidays, and my constant checks. I put 9 to 5, get home, and still have energy and time to do other hobbies. Many people would kill for a safe, constant office job.
I get what you're saying. Office life has its perks. No noisy machines, a steady paycheck, and you still have time for hobbies. It's a pretty good setup if you think about it. Plenty of people would love that stability. Plus, coffee is always a bonus. Just a chill vibe overall, which can really make a difference in your day-to-day life. It's nice to hear someone appreciate that.
please consider subscribing if you enjoyed. Love.